Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday evening. Welcome to episode 12 of the PISCOPOD. I am your host, Sasha. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Well, it's been a week. It's been 11 days since the public execution of Charlie Kirk on every device, on every television set, pretty much across the world. I watched his memorial thing today. I didn't think I was going to. I was certainly not a follower nor what I would constitute as a fan of his. There was certain things that he spoke of that I agreed with. There was other stuff that he spoke of that were, I don't want to say that I disagreed with him, but, as I've said in previous podcasts, I've become a little more spiritual, but I still haven't gone completely over to the organized religion side of it. So, it's kind of like for me getting into one of those ice baths, you know what I mean? I know they say that you should just jump in and do it like all at once, just get in there. But I'm more of the, I want to ease into it kind of thing, right? So I've gone down the rabbit hole. I've been watching some of his speeches and stuff like that he's been doing on his campus tours. And I don't get it, man. I don't see the hate that the left sees of him. Certainly he had fiery debates on things that he vehemently believed in with all his heart. He was a uber religious. Everything that he did, everything that he was, he attributed to God. And whether you believe in that or not is really beside the point. But I have to give props to the guy. He practiced what he preached, for lack of a better analogy, I guess. He practiced what he preached. He lived how he spoke, and he didn't expect anything from others that he wasn't doing. At least that's what I've gotten out of it so far. And his message wasn't, is anybody surprised that an ultra-religious person is going to think that there's two genders? I'm not surprised. And if I'm honest, I'm in that camp. It's funny, I was at a seminar over the weekend, a Pod Summit 2025 for YYC, which is in Calgary. And I got to network with lots of podcasters, video podcasters and stuff like that. They had some very informative seminars. All in all, it was a great time. A really good time. I sat through some presentations that I didn't think that I would have sat through. I sat through a very informative and a heartwarming thing about an LBGTQ something or other niched podcast. I sat through, I don't want to say I sat through it like it was like some fucking prison sentence, but like, you know what I mean? Like, look at me. Does it look like I'm, sitting through 45 minutes of, lesbians on video podcast? I'm not that guy, but it was like, you know what? I have an open mind and I want to see what all this is about. Here's one thing. Well, there's a couple of things that I noticed. Like I said, I had such a good time. I met some really, really cool people, some of who I'm going to network with when it comes to this video podcasting thing that I'm kind of doing. And as I said before, I just got into it as a hobby, in order for me to just talk, because like the shit that I'm seeing on TV makes it feels like my head's gonna explode. Like you're sitting there going like, this is fucking crazy, man. Like, what are we doing? And I'm sure that a lot of you listeners out here are probably in the same boat. Whether you subscribe to my frame of thought or whether you subscribe to the other frame of thought, I think that there's entities on both sides that are going like, what the fuck is going on? And the rest of us that are more or less in the middle are, kind of trying to figure out how to keep everyone's shit together so that it doesn't go completely sideways. So, as I said, it's been 11 days since the Charlie Kirk memorial. I'm still angry about it. I find it ironic that one of the most powerful voices on the right-hand side, the only guy that gave a fuck about what the left had to say, did it in a respectful and kind way from the rabbit hole that I went down just to see who this guy was, because I'll be honest with you, I wasn't a follower nor a fan of his. I mean, I knew of him, and I've heard some of his speeches, and I've heard some where I thought, oh, snap, buddy, you're gonna fucking hear it for that. And he did. And then there was others, portions of his speeches where I was like, yeah, brother, you preach, man. Common sense stuff that we all, or a good portion of us, still believe in, but we're too scared to say anything because of the cancel culture. You can lose your job, or you could be socially ostracized, or whatever the case is. But his murder, if nothing else, has, I'm going to say, stirred the hornet's nest, but that's kind of an understatement. I watched his memorial service, and that was in Glendale, Arizona, at the, I can't remember what the stadium name is, but it was fucking huge, man. At 4 o'clock in the morning, there was like 25 or 30,000 people lined up outside already to get in, because it was kind of like a first come, first serve. I'm sure that they had security out the ass, given that, given the political climate of why this is even happening, this event. But it was mind blowing. For a guy like me, it was everything that I expected it to be, in the sense that it was like super religious. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It was super religious. There was lots of Christian music, but it was powerful. It looked powerful. I said to my wife, imagine if every one of those faces and heads that you see in the crowd just left this place and decided, you know what, enough is enough. And I'm not condoning violence, but I am condoning lawful, violent protection, if you will. If you are going about your day and some fucking wackadoo is like in your face and screaming at your children because you're wearing whatever, a MAGA shirt, I don't know, or like if you're in Canada like me, if you're wearing a fucking Alberta fucking shirt, there's gonna be some panty waist that's up in your grill and fucking wetting his Pampers. We're living in crazy town. So anyway, back to the Kirk Memorial. It was everything that I expected it to be. Highly religious. A lot of people fucking with their arms out and looking at the sky and talking to themselves and stuff like that. But it was very powerful. It was packed to the rafters. And outside in the parking lot, it was jammed. It's a movement. It's a movement we're seeing across the world. The UK, they don't want to give it too much press time because that would go against the narrative. but records or indications say that the march that was in part for Charlie Kirk, but also in conjunction with the, like basically the British have had enough of the fucking mass immigration shit, and they're like, fuck this, man. Anyway, it was like 3 million people in the streets. That's a lot of people. This isn't the fringe minority that are spineless simp leaders, want us to believe. Oh, it's just a bunch of fucking wackadoos. No, it's not. It's 3 million people. In the case of the Charlie Kirk Memorial, I think it was like, 130,000 people or 100,000? It was 100,000 plus people. A shit ton of people. A shit ton of angry, sad people mourning the loss of a guy, a 31-year-old guy, in front of his family, of all things. We've talked about it before, in front of his family. And if that isn't bad enough, the aftermath of it. The people all over TikTok and fucking Facebook, and they're celebrating it. I mean, the bar is set pretty low, and there's still a lot of people out there that I can go lower. You might not agree with Charlie Kirk. I didn't agree with everything that he said. He wasn't a politician in the sense that he was running for office. Not that that would matter when it comes to the abhorrent thing that happened to him. But he wasn't a politician. He was just a dude, a young dude that fucking loved his country. Loved God, loved his country, and was advertising, if nothing else, a more traditional way of life. Get married, have a family. What's the big deal? What is this thing about wholesome traditions like that make some people on the left-hand side just completely lose their fucking cookies, man? Like, what is it about that? The memorial, it had a powerful speech from his fucking widow, Erica Kirk, who's now the new CEO of Turning Point USA. So, if any of my listeners are kind of on the other side of the fence and they're like, oh, well, Charlie Kirk got what he deserved. The thing with this cold violence is that the shooter and everybody that helped him along, because we'll get into this maybe a little later, but there's no way that fucking dude did this by himself. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I don't believe it for a fucking second. But anyway, what was I saying? It was a powerful speech from his widow, and she forgave the shooter, man. 11 days after she had to identify her husband's body, she would have seen the wound that took his life, as she said in the speech. How do you explain that to your fucking kids, Where's when they ask, where's daddy? I don't have any children. For those of you that follow me on the socials, you know that I have dogs. And these dogs are my children. I love my children, meaning my dogs. I would take a bullet for my dogs. And I would do all sorts of dark and devious things if somebody harmed my dog. So one can only imagine that the rage that this woman must feel. Brand new family. And unless you're completely out of the fucking loop, she would see all the fucking people celebrating her husband's fucking murder. I mean, what do you even say to that? I can't even wrap my head around, you get all the, oh, well, I didn't see anybody crying when George Floyd was murdered. No, because George Floyd was a piece of shit. Not that his murder meant any less, but, according to the reports, he died of a drug overdose. I'm sure it didn't help that there was like a 180-pound cop kneeling on his fucking neck. But again, that guy went to jail, right? Didn't he? So you can't compare the two, man. You can't compare the two. One was a fucking career criminal that they turned into a fucking martyr. They didn't give a fuck about him when he was actually roaming amongst them, but now that they can fucking spin a narrative about it, now it's a different thing. And again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been outraged. I'm not saying that there shouldn't have been outrage in the case of the George Floyd thing, but they fucking burnt cities down and rioted. Went batshit crazy. Looted Nike stores, fucking beat up random fucking people for no apparent reason other than the fact that they're frustrated and fucking going with the flow and are being violent. Now, you didn't see that after the Charlie Kirk murders. You seen the opposite. Vigils. There was tons of vigils. If you watch the Charlie Kirk memorial, Donald Trump even mentioned my city, Calgary, in the speech. I mean, how cool was that, right? Because we care. Because we're not ghouls here. But even here, we had fuckwits that vandalized the Charlie Kirk memorial that they set up. We had a vigil that it turned out thousands and thousands of people after the assassination. Enough that, like I said, Donald Trump in his speech at the Charlie Kirk Memorial in front of the entire world mentioned Calgary. We are Charlie Kirk. We stand with him. We're allowed to talk about shit that makes people uncomfortable. And that isn't, free speech isn't just, the ability to say what you want to say. It also is the requirement for you to hear what you don't necessarily want to hear. I mean, I've been attacked since the Charlie Kirk assassination by friends on social media. In fairness, I have also attacked because I'm pretty heated about some of the cold depravity that I see. It's just like fucking, it's just fucking weird. It's just weird to be that fucking gleeful about some dude getting his throat blown out. Because, whether you believed what he said or not, he was one of the good guys, man. He really was. And in my opinion, I think that they were grooming him to be the next running mate for... I think that J.D. Vance is going to be the next president. Or I'm leaning towards that. And I think that Charlie Kirk would have been the go-to. Probably would have been one of the youngest vice presidents in history, right? And I think that's why they took him out. I think he had a huge voice. I don't think that this Robinson guy acted alone. I'm a big Candace Owen fan. Candace Owens. Sorry, Candace, if you're listening. I love your show. I've been a follower of hers for such a long time. Such a smart, ballsy woman. Seeing that that her friend just got taken out on live TV, and she's been pushing the envelope for quite some time with her whole Brigitte Macron mini series and stuff that she was in the middle of when her friend got executed. But you know, they're silencing voices like that, and that's okay. You're allowed to celebrate it because they live in a land of free speech and freedom and stuff like that. But the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation, well, folks, that is a bridge too far. And I've been getting a lot of heat about this because I've been pretty vocal about this. I find it funny that, you know, people that are struggling to put food on the table and keep their bills paid and all that other shit that comes with living just a regular life, you know. We're all in the trenches, right? But I find it ironic that those people are losing their fucking marbles over a guy that's worth, I think it says $65 million and was making $16 million a year. I think it was like $82,000 an episode that he was making. And it wasn't very funny in the longest time. Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, all of those fucking shows. I used to watch all of those shows because those dudes were hilarious. But all of a sudden, they just turned uber woke. And their entire fucking platform was just about... all they did was bash the right. And I'm a Canadian, right? So our right, according to all the hate mail that I get, is the United Conservative Party. We get called mini MAGA or something like that, or Northern MAGA or whatever I fucking read today. And it's all these things that they like to paint our mindset with in order to keep us shut the fuck up and do what you're told and don't question anything, because if you ask about anything, well, then you're, you know, well, I mean, let's go back to the Charlie Kirk thing, right? As I said, I don't think that this kid acted alone by any stretch of the imagination. Candace Owens has done a couple of episodes now on, you know, like theories of hers that she's been looking into, and whether you subscribe to her theories or not, she definitely raises some legitimate questions as to what's going on, right? You know, like why would the president of another foreign government go on world TV like 24 hours after the assassination to proclaim that his country had nothing to do with it? That's kind of odd, right? Don't you think? That's kind of weird. Have you ever seen that before? Oh yeah, man, it wasn't us, man. Just in case you're thinking it wasn't us. It wasn't us. Anyway, again, that is, go check out the Candace Owens show. Her last two episodes, man, fucking riveting, man, because she has inside knowledge, because she was a good friend of Charlie Kirk's, and they spoke lots, even though now I've seen a concentrated effort of media spin to kind of discredit her from, oh yeah, she's like gone off the fucking rails and this and that and the other thing. And they're just saying that because nothing's further from the truth. As a matter of fact, her series on that Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, being a dick-swinging dude, which he is or was, everybody started out with, oh yeah, she's fucking crazy, man, like wackadoo, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she's so wackadoo that the First Family of France is suing her in American court, right? That's how wackadoo it is. Like, think about it, right? They've never won a lawsuit in their own country. She's never won a lawsuit of. She's never sued anybody that has ever proclaimed that she started out as a man. They have this really interesting method of they'll sue you, but it's because you strung a sentence together like this, and they never really have to fucking prove. I mean, right? If she's worried about her reputation and everybody thinks that she's a dude, just fucking do a DNA test, man. Right? None of her family, her brother that's in contention, has ever come out and said, hey, fuck, leave my sisters alone. Of course she's a chick. I would do that for my sisters. Anyway, if my sisters are listening, I'd do that for you, man. Anyway, so yeah, we are 11 days since the public execution. People have been fucking dancing and singing songs on TikTok and all that stuff. And if you say anything about that, well, then you're just a fucking far-right nut, or you're a fucking Nazi, or what else do they call you? You name it, fill in the blank. You're one of those people if you take umbrage to that kind of behavior. But then if you're like, Jimmy Kimmel, he sucked. He was way too woke. His ratings sucked. His show was hemorrhaging money. Well, then you're a fascist, because it's clearly Trump made a call to the FCC and said, hey, pull Jimmy Kimmel, and that was the end of it, right? It had nothing to do. Same with Colbert, right? It's like, oh, this is fascists. They're like silencing the media. No, these guys are at the helm of a fucking business. The Kimmel thing has all been about freedom of speech and stuff like that, and everybody has freedom of speech. You just don't have, as they say ad nauseum, freedom of consequences. And freedom of speech is offered to you from a governmental standpoint, not from an employer standpoint, right? You don't believe me? Post a couple of videos that all your coworkers can see, and do some really inflammatory stuff, and post it, and then see what happens to you come Monday morning, right? You'll be out the door on your fucking ass. And that's what they did to Jimmy Kimmel, right? He was hemorrhaging money. His show was not very good in the ratings, and if you don't believe me, you can fucking Google it, because I have, and Colbert's show as well. Right? So they were sucking in the ratings. I watched the Jimmy Kimmel thing that got everybody fucking heated, and what they say got him canceled. Honestly, I hate Jimmy Kimmel. I really do. I've never been a fan. But, having said that, I watched what he had said, the entire thing in all its context, and it was like, distasteful, but like fucking cancel? That's a bridge too far, in my opinion. Insensitive, maybe. Certainly a downright lie. Go ahead and watch it. He basically said that, the right is doing everything in their power to, spin it so that the shooter of Charlie Kirk was actually one of theirs, which by the time that he was doing the show or taping the show, that information was already out. He wasn't a fucking Trump guy. He wasn't a right-wing guy. He was a queer guy that lived with a fucking furry, and anyway, he was left-wing. But so he blatantly lied about it. And understandably so, people that were, maybe some of them a little overly sensitive, but I guess they flooded The call lines of ABC and New Star, I think was the one company. ABC is the parent company. Anyway, they just fucking bombarded their phone lines and bombarded, right? Because all you got to do is watch a Jimmy Kimmel show and you'll know the advertisers because it's usually the same people, right? Ozempic and fucking, and there's usually a pharma company and an insurance company or whatever. You get my drift, right? You'll be able to see, who pays the bills for that show because it's done on advertising dough, right? So I guess that enough people called the advertisers and the local stations and all that other shit and blew a gasket that they made a business decision to go, yeah, this guy, he should go on and apologize. I believe that report is accurate, that they gave him the opportunity to go on and apologize. And he was like, fuck that, I'm going to double down. And they said, fuck that, you're not going on the air. So now we're here. And of course, there's certain people that are losing their fucking minds because, like I said, it's this freedom of speech thing. But you're free to say whatever you want. But your employer, if you're causing customers to bail and money's not coming in, and it's all because of one employee, there isn't a company on the fucking planet that is not going to get rid of the employee. Except the Catholic Church, of course. They just move him around to another branch for him to continue his freakishness. Again, that's another story. But that apparently was the new big thing. You can't open your social medias without seeing a free Jimmy Kimmel kind of thing, right? And of course, the Hollywood is coming out and we're in a dark place and we're in a dark place. And it's like, no, I think that we're in a place now that we're starting to hold people accountable for stuff, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, the bar couldn't be set any lower, but there still seems to be a large swath of people that just go, yeah, man, fucking I can go lower. Trump has declared Antifa a terrorist organization, much to the chagrin of a couple of friends on my socials, to be honest with you. Antifa isn't an organization. Find me an address. Find me a fucking, a board of directors or whatever. No, maybe not. But there certainly are, let's say, purveyors of chaos. They've never gone to any sort of function that they've been attending where things were chill. Let's put it that way. So, I got friends that I got into dust-ups with over, it's fucking fascism and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, fuck, man, I don't want these fucking people in my community. I just don't. If that makes me insert fucking phobic something or other at will, then I'm okay with that, man. I don't want these people in here. I'm glad that at least Trump has declared it a terrorist organization. Like I said, they're purveyors of chaos. And I'm sure if I came into your house looking like me, every other day or every time I showed up, I, fucked your cat and ripped the cabinet doors down, you'd probably go, hey, man, maybe we shouldn't invite fucking Sasha over anymore, right? And I think that that's what we're doing with Antifa. We gave everybody the opportunity to be chill, and not all of you, but a good portion of you fucking wrecked it for everybody. And I'll be honest with you, man. I think that there's a big shift going even in that alphabet community. As I was saying, I attended a 2-day Pod Summit YYC 2025. over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, 2 days. And I sat through all sorts of seminars and lectures and networking sessions and all sorts of cool stuff. Made some new friends, made some new contacts, sat through some things that I never thought I'd sit through. I sat through an entire, I think it was like 40 minutes about podcasts and video podcasts that are in the narrative of the queer domain. So, sat through it, gleaned some sympathy for sure. The one lady that was, she identifies as they, them. See, like, I'm sorry, man. I don't mean any disrespect. It's just fucking confusing. Anyway, they told the story of kind of how they got to where they were, and it was a touching story because they were local. They grew up in Calgary in the 80s, which is when I was growing up, and they told of their struggles of being who they were back in the 80s as a kid, as a teenager, and not having that community. So I can sympathize with that. But there's a couple of things that I learned by these talks, and they were eye-opening. One of the things that I learned is that, lesbians like wallet chains, apparently. I did notice that. But that isn't the most prominent thing that I gleaned from there. What I did learn, though, is that a lot of their, and I don't want to call it issues because all these people, they were smart, articulate, successful by all stretches of the imagination. I don't want to say issues, but their story, most of them, if not all of them, all starts the same way, which is through some form of abuse, whether it be familial or stranger, but young age abuse. Every one of them. So, I'm no doctor, but if that correlation of their current, for lack of a better word, lifestyle, but they all stem from that kind of common denominator. I'm just saying, just putting it out there, doesn't that automatically at least warrant looking at it as some sort of a mental issue? Just saying. But another thing that I learned, something very important, was that the people that I met over those 2 days in that community are very, very articulate and level-headed. They're not of that fringe extreme that you see on the videos, that are fucking screaming in your face and screaming at your children. They're not those people, man. They are people that I broke bread with over the 2 days. I respected them. I learned lots from them. And I also learned that they are angry. Maybe angry is a little tough, but they're certainly not happy about how their movement has been hijacked by the extremes. And I feel for them because I think that when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, we all had friends that were, gay, or there was some that, through junior high, you thought, yeah, I think so. And then later on, it's like, oh, I came out, and it's like, yeah, we knew. But the friends that I still have that are of that community, the new ones that I made over the 2-day seminar, they are not of the fringe, the crazies, the yelling in your face, the ones that are prone to grabbing rifles and, laying on the top of a roof and blowing someone's throat out because they're sad that they made a no comment about furries, whatever the fucking case is, right? I think that the old guard, as I'm going to call them, of that community, and as I said in previous broadcasts, I've always wanted to take the T and the Q. I think ever since those letters were incorporated and the 2+ and I think that the whole movement, that's when the movement, in my opinion, got hijacked. Because, like I said, I have friends in that community. They're not of that ilk. We can get together. We can have cocktails. We can make fun of each other. Nobody's triggered. Nobody's offended. And everybody has a good time. And nobody cares. Nobody cares about what I'm doing in the bedroom. Nobody cares about what they're doing in the bedroom. We just have a good time on a human level, one-on-one. And I think that those people, who I love and respect, I think that they're mad because they certainly have to see that their movement has been going backwards. I mean, funding for Pride events is plummeting. Apple, Pepsi, MasterCard, DoorDash, all of them pulled funding from Pride events. Target, remember Target? They were big on the news not that long ago because they were selling Alphabet Group clothing, including tuck bathing suits for young boys. So they even pulled their shit out. And of course, liberal white soccer moms with nothing fucking better to do are, of course, up in arms. I seen one where the lady's like, oh, great, they pulled all that out of the store and replaced it with USA stuff. I guess we're having an American summer. And it's like, I get it. Americans are very patriotic. They got the flags waving everywhere, stickers, tattoos. Anyway, I'm not far. I love the Americans too. See, look at my flag. American pirate flag. My two favorite entities. Anyway, so popularity is waning for these groups, and I feel bad for my level-headed friends that are in that group. But it's like I told you long ago, I think my very first podcast I covered, I said, cash in your chips because you're about to fucking crap out. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the overcorrection. Maybe not an overcorrection yet, but it's going to be. It always does. It's like a pendulum, and it's gonna swing one way too far, and then it's like, holy shit, what's going on? And it's coming back the other way, and it's gonna overcorrect the other way as well. So, how do you want to unpack all that? We got crazy things happening. I'm still on the fence of whether the kid that shot Charlie Kirk did it by himself. Check out the Candace Owens episodes. She certainly raises some questions. Speaking personally, I watched it live. And the old guy that they arrested, as soon as they arrested him, before any information came out, I'm like, yeah, that ain't your fucking guy. The guy's like fucking 90 years old. I doubt he was hunkered down on some fucking roof in the Utah heat for who knows how many fucking hours, waiting to crack off that sniper shot through his fucking 3-inch thick goggles that he's wearing. Just have a look at the guy. He doesn't look like a sniper. Terrible eyesight, clearly, by the thickness of his glasses. I mean, fuck, he looks at a map and he sees people waving. So, that in combination with the scope that that was on the shooter's rifle, right away, as soon as they were dragging him in his underwear fucking out the off the property, it's like, yeah, that ain't your guy. I'm like, that's the guy that they're using so that the real guy is fucking getting away, which, as it so happens, is exactly what happened. Now, another exciting thing about this old fucking bed shitter that they fucking nabbed, that he was yelling, I shot him. That guy also turned up at the 9/11 thing. And he also turned up, from my understanding, I think at the Boston Marathon bombing. So, I mean, come on. Is that a coincidence? Or is that a plant? Or a decoy? Sadly for him, he had child pornography on his computer, which again seems to be, it has the smackings of the state of Israel, does it not? Why is it that everything with Israel happens to be involved around deviancy with underage fucking people? Think about it. Jeffrey Epstein, right? He was an agent, or at least a plant for the Mossad. Everybody knows that at this point. His fucking sidekick, Ghislaine Maxwell, her father was Mossad, ran like one of the biggest media empires for fucking brainwashing people, which is like what is happening nowadays everywhere you look with legacy media. That's why podcasting and independent media is taking off as big as it is because like you can't believe anything. I mean, here in Canada, CTV or the CBC or the legacy government propaganda machine, their headlines are just so out of touch on the Charlie Kirk assassination. If I'm not mistaken, our fucking lousy prime minister has still not said anything about that, but he has declared Palestine as a state. So that's going to work out well because for us here in Canada, because now we're going to get these fucking Hamas refugees coming in and sucking on the government tit. So how fun is that, everyone? Having a good time here. So, like I said, I went to the summit thing and I ran into some interesting people. And I met some cool people. And I networked with some cool people that I hope to do some cool things in the future with. But, yeah, you just fucking shake your head at everything that's going on. You don't know what to believe anymore. Did this guy end Charlie Kirk's life by himself? I don't have a tinfoil hat, man, but there's certainly some unanswered questions. Like I said, watch the Candace Owen thing. It'll open your fucking eyes. How did the guy get the rifle? Why is it that the FBI clipped? They literally had camera footage of the entire rooftop for the entire afternoon. That's how they released footage to the media. TMZ, I think, was originally who released some of the media, but it's clipped, right? It shows the guy after he takes the shot and he's already getting up and running. So, I mean, great, there's footage of that, but why clip it there? Why wouldn't they release the footage? Because they clearly had it. It shows that they did. They just have to backtrack the tape a little ways, right? So why would they not have a video footage, or why would they not release it of the guy laying on the roof and taking the shot? Because according to a lot of people in the know, in the sense of like U.S. Army snipers, they're putting this timeline together, and the narrative is that he took the fucking rifle apart to get off the roof. The problem with that is that even the fastest expert that they had on the panel that was taking apart the same rifle that the shooter used, it took 50 seconds to do so. That was the fastest that he could get it done. 50 seconds, which is pretty fast, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't coincide with the video because the shot is heard, and like literally 15 seconds, they clip it, and 15 seconds after the shot is taken, that guy is like already running across the roof and jumping off the other side. So that lays question to, well, there's no way that he took the gun apart. Let's just put it out there. There's no way that he took the gun apart, because even the fastest guy that's an expert in doing it took 50 seconds. So there's no way that this guy did it in like 10 seconds and stuffed it in his backpack and zipped everything up and fucking headed out. Because that's the only answer, is that he took it apart and put it in his backpack. Because he's certainly not carrying it. Anyway, there's just too many unanswered questions. Again, when was the last time you had a world leader 24 hours after a political assassination in another country come out and say, hey man, just so you know, we had nothing to do with it? Candace Owens addresses that as well. Another thing that was discovered was that Turning Point USA, shortly before Charlie Kirk's assassination, was offered $150 million to turn certain guests that were kind of not against Israel, but certainly, hey man, we're America first. We are emboldened to our citizens of America, and we have some questions as to what is going on. Whether you believe in, what's happening on either side of the conflict, again, is another thing. But even like the slightest, most milquetoast kind of pushback and questioning, all of a sudden has the state of Israel like, wait a minute. Like, seriously, like, you can go around the United States and call a black person the N-word with the hard R and do it over and over again and suffer, maybe you might suffer social ostracization in the sense of, it'll be on social media and there'll be people like, oh, I'm not going to follow him anymore. But for the most part, you can do the hard R N-word and not get into too much trouble. However, if you are saying anything anti-Jewish, that is now a hate crime. And you have compelled speech, and there's laws for that. So, again, I'm not doing the conspiracy thing. I'm just saying that there's a lot of fucking unanswered questions, man. And in this day and age, we deserve fucking answers. We deserve answers, right? Trump got elected on, I'm going to release the JFK files. Has anybody heard anything? I haven't, right? We all know that it wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald that did it. I mean, anybody that's seen the Zapruder film seen that shot came from the front. Like it threw his head back. Again, I'm no ballistic expert, but when brains come squirting out the back of your fucking head, and there's like a hole blown in your skull, the size of a garage door. I'm thinking that came from the front. But again, I'm no expert. Anyway, there's just a lot of unanswered questions that deserve answers, right? We all know by now that the Jewish lobby in American politics is very powerful. We haven't seen the Epstein list, and, it's not hard to draw the conclusion that we're not seeing that because there was, that Epstein was was an agent for the Israeli government, Mossad, and that they are using an age-old, tried-and-true practice of like the honeypot is what they call it, and they get prominent figures in compromising positions. The CIA did it. The FBI did it. Wasn't it J. Edgar Hoover that was being blackmailed for the longest time because he liked wearing women's stockings and dressing like a chick, right? So, this is an old, this is nothing new. It's just bigger. How about Diddy? What happened to that story? Do you remember that? It was like every second story on every television, all over fucking streaming. The Diddy, the freak-offs, the 1,000 bottles of baby oil, the videos of him shit-kicking his girlfriend in the hotel lobby, paying $50,000 to have those tapes just magically disappear. Thousands and thousands upon of hours with high profile celebrities in compromising positions. And all of a sudden, poof, that's all gone. You don't hear nothing about it. Epstein just magically offs himself in his jail cell. There was no list. It's well, what are you going to say? It's like I said, there's a lot of unanswered questions, man. A lot of unanswered questions. And the Charlie Kirk assassination, I think, has, like I said, it stirred the hornet's nest, man, because people are starting to go like, what is going on? What is going on and what's behind it and where's the money and who's funding what? Because, I just look around and I just think, holy fuck, man, crazy shit, man. Anyway, folks, that's all I got for you this week. Take care of yourselves. Be vigilant. Protect yourselves. And make a stand, man. We have to. We've now drawn our line in the sand. I think that is pretty obvious from everything that I seen today during the memorial service and stuff like that, and the outpouring of support all across the world. Like I said, even at the memorial thing, Trump mentioned Calgary, man, my home city, because we had a significant vigil. And of course, like I said, some douchebag fucking wrecked the memorial and fucking because I guess that's they wreck things and loot cities and burn down cities and we hold vigils and but I think that we're rounding a corner, and I think that we're no longer more prone to that we're going to turn the other cheek. I think that ship has sailed, and I think that unfortunately we're going to see ramifications of this. Folks, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'd like to see us get out of this on the other side as closer and better individuals, but I don't know, man. I think I have my doubts. So now it's going to have to go back to the old age thing, which is the survival of the fittest, man. And I think that there's a large portion of the people that were like, what's it going to hurt if we let him do this? And what's it going to hurt if, we turn a more compassionate eye if they want to do something like this? And what if we do this? And I think that now we're like, you know what, man? If your answer to everything that you don't like is violence and chaos, maybe it has to be reciprocated in order for the people to go, hey man, we're just not a punching bag anymore. So having said that, folks, sorry that I've been ranting and raving here for about an hour. I let it go a little longer. I didn't have that much to say. It turned out I was babbling on about a lot of stuff. I appreciate you guys all tuning in and giving it a listen. If you don't subscribe, go to the subscribe button below and hit it. Hit a like. Send me a comment. Send me an email. Tell me how you're feeling, man. What do you see what's going on? How do you feel about it? Anyway, folks, take care of yourselves and get out, enjoy some fresh air, enjoy some family, and surround yourself with your people. And but never be closed-minded enough to not at least give a listen to the other side. But I think that in the climate that we've seen, I think it's not a bad thing to keep them at arm's length for your safety, if nothing else for safety. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of your ears and eyes. Tune in and subscribe. See you next Sunday, 8 o'clock. Have yourselves a great week. See ya!